We have to make sure that the politicians are held accountable.
Every administration had the ability to put a ban on asbestos.
When it comes to asbestos, it really is about power, money, and politics.
Jock McCulloch died in January. He was an incredible historian. He wrote about the asbestos industry in Australia, his country, in the eastern part of Australia, with the native people and how they were used by the asbestos industry in the east part of the country. Later on, he went to South Africa and dug up every person that was still living and every document that was still undestroyed by the government, and put together an amazing story about what the asbestos companies had done in South Africa. He went on to write with Jeffrey Tweedale, Defending the Indefensible, an extraordinary book about the history of the asbestos industry and its cover-ups, published in 2008 by the Oxford University Press. And in the course of doing his research in South Africa, he went to the old asbestos fields, the disused, abandoned asbestos mine areas, and the crucidolite mining areas in South Africa. And we believe that that was probably, or he believed that that was probably the cause of his development of mesothelioma 20 years later. That's what he died from. To being a historian, writing about corporate crime. So here we are to pay tribute to Jock McCulloch, who wrote as much about the history of asbestos as anyone in the world, about the public health history of asbestos and the corporate history, and to honor him. His partner will give a statement that's by videotape. Thank you.
Dear friends and colleagues, I'm sending this message from Flinders Island, where Jock wrote much of his recent work. The island is situated in the Bass Strait of the southern coast of Australia. There are few people, wonderful neighbours, much wildlife, and enough space and calm to work on big projects. Jock had some idea about receiving the Selikoff Award before he died in January this year. As I'm today, he was immensely proud of this recognition, not least because of his deep respect for Irving Selikoff and his work. Jock was granted access to the Selikoff papers at Mount Sinai Hospital during one of our visits to New York. The material he found and his wider reading inspired him to contribute to scholarly debates defending Selikoff's work. Over the last 6 months, I've been editing Jock's final book on silicosis, TB, migrant labour and the corruption of science in South Africa's gold mines. The book is meticulously researched. It will make a significant contribution to the miners' struggle for justice, and beyond it to the historiography of Southern Africa, science and occupational health, all topics building on Selikoff's work. In the last months of his life, Jock was deeply moved by the many messages he received from friends and colleagues from around the world, saying how much he affected them and their work. Such messages and this award have also provided great strength and comfort to me. It's now up to us to make the best of the contribution Jock made to our lives. Thank you.
So that was Pablo Miller, and she is putting together the final version of his last writing, his last book, as she said, about silicosis and tuberculosis in South Africa, which I'm sure will tell us a lot that's never been written before by others. Thank you.